Okay, I got freedom of thought, right? So let me just exercise my freedom of thought. I've been saying to myself that getting together with any woman in the entire world whose name is Sayaka, when there's only one of those women named Sayaka who is the one I intend this message for. Just the way the prince in the story of Cinderella has a shoe that fits only one person. This message is that shoe. It's going to fit only one of those Sayakas throughout the entire globe, but it could be any of them, right? We don't know. We don't know which one it is. We got to find the Sayaka that fits this shoe. We have the shoe, so we're looking for the Sayaka that fits. Okay. Now, um, I'm saying that meeting this Sayaka would be like a Charles Dickens ending to my life. You know, a Charles Dickens ending to me is wow, this is the happiest ending you could imagine. Now, I haven't read a single one of Charles Dickens's books, except for A Christmas Carol. I read that. And I saw a dramatic production of Nicholas Nickleby, which I thought was outstanding. And I've seen the play Oliver based on Dickens' book Oliver Twist. And so I am familiar with the Dickens ending. And, A Christmas Carol has a Dickens ending, the happy ending, right? So I'm saying if I get together with Sayaka, the Sayaka, the one across the entire globe named Sayaka who fits the shoe that I have for Sayaka, this is a happy ending to my life. Now I'm saying to myself, what about this Sayaka? What about a happy ending for her? So here's what I'm imagining. I'm thinking to myself, it may be that Sayaka had been married and is now divorced or is in the process of finalizing a divorce. And that's what's holding her up from getting together with me. The last, how do they say this? I's are being dotted or whatever, and T's being crossed in the final legal papers on this matter. And before this thing actually gets completely settled, she's not going to have anything to do with me. She wants this legally settled before she meets me. And that's what's holding things up. This is my theory. Now, I'm thinking to myself, I don't think Sayaka has any children. It was my impression from the start that she didn't have children and she wanted them. Now, I'm not going to go into why I felt that way. I'm just going to go from there. And so she's middle aged, and and I'm saying to myself, she's probably a wealthy woman. I mean, very wealthy. You know, wealthy in terms of when people say she's rich. She's rich. Now, I had an aunt who was my dearest relative, you might say. She was almost like a mother to me, okay? So that I could almost say I had two mothers, even though that's stretching things quite a bit. But she was beloved. I loved her dearly. And, well, it just so happens that I was kind of a favorite of hers as well, and here's something about her that identifies her. Her hair never turned gray. Okay, so I'm married myself, even though I'm supposed to be a single man now, having converted to Judaism in 2020. The rabbi who converted me said, upon my conversion, you are now a single man. I did not expect that. I'd never heard of such a thing. I said, I'm a single man. I didn't expect it, and I at the time it didn't mean much to me. It just didn't, because I hadn't been planning to be a single man when I converted. It was not on my mind. However, it's now become useful. Since Sayaka became interested in me, it's perfectly okay that she is. I'm a single man. Okay, so it looks like God is telling me now. No, a lot of people would say, "Oh, stop." God is not telling you anything. A lot of people don't believe in God. Well, that hasn't changed in thousands of years, right? All the way back to the Hebrews, there were disagreements in this area back then, right? Nothing's changed. We have, the various deities around now that have different names than what they had thousands of years ago, right? So this is the same situation now it was in Moses' time. Nothing's changed. And however, even back then, if you said God told you this or that, you were just as suspect then as you are now, right? So, let me repeat, since I have the freedom to do this, that the way I would phrase this, it would take like a book to explain what I mean. God has seemed to tell me. It's like a shorthand for a very complex way of looking at reality. That because my wife's hair has miraculously not turned gray, she is like Aunt Rosemary now in my life. Her hair hasn't turned gray, even though the hair of her sisters turned gray long ago. You say, what's going on? How did this happen? But Aunt Rosemary's hair did not turn gray. She loved me greatly. Now my wife, her hair hasn't turned gray either. So what does that mean? Sayaka coming into this marriage, okay, I've been calling her what? Mommy. So she's like my mother. My wife is like Aunt Rosemary. So here's what I'm thinking, okay? Aunt Rosemary could not have babies because she had some kind of a malformed uterus or something wrong in her reproductive organs. I'm not sure. She described it as women's troubles. So, whatever it was, it prevented her from having a baby. It had nothing to do with her husband, my uncle's sperm count being abnormal or anything like that. He was normal sperm count, and her not being pregnant had nothing to do with him. Even though members of my family have maligned him quite falsely as somehow being, what is it when you're sterile? He was not. He was a normal man with a normal sperm count. Okay? And Rosemary told me this. Now, let's say Sayaka has eggs that are fertilizable, okay? but she has something wrong with her reproductive tracts, her reproductive organs, just like Aunt Rosemary did. So she wants to have babies, but, you know, she hasn't had any yet. For that reason and others. Maybe she could have afforded laboratory type uh, birth of a baby. I think it's called IVF, right? Uh, I'm not sure what that means, what that represents right now. It's inaccessible to my conscious mind. IVF. I don't recall what that stands for. Now, in vitro fertilization. Okay, so and I'm not sure what that means. In vitro fertilization, even though my wife and I looked into it, it means some kind of a test tube baby, right? The sperm and egg are put together in like a petri dish, and if they unite, that fertilized egg is then transplanted into the womb of a woman where it grows and matures as a baby and is born. Now, it may be that Sayaka has a problem down there the way Aunt Rosemary did. So if she gets together with me, or let's say when she gets together with me, she wants to have babies. Here might be a Dickens ending for her, a Charles Dickens ending. She enters our marriage, and she is also the equal of a wife in the marriage, okay? And so what happens? We fertilize one of her eggs, and that egg is transplanted into my wife, who becomes the surrogate for the raising of that baby inside of her. I wish I had a better way of saying that, but I haven't thought much on these matters, so I'm not equipped with the words and the phrases that I would be equipped for if I had studied into this, and I haven't. So somebody she may be on the way to loving, okay, is going to have her baby for her in a relationship where we're all married. Me, my wife, and her, we're all married together. Can you think of a more ideal situation? It's not a money thing at all. There's no money transferred here at all. There's no money, it's not involved. It's a love thing. And the love is within marriage. We're all married together. And then the child is born within that marriage and raised within that marriage. So I'm thinking to myself, this might be a dream come true for her, because I know my Aunt Rosemary wanted a child so badly. She just did, and she couldn't have one. Now, if Sayaka is that kind of person, here's part of her happy ending. There would be much more to this, of course. This is only a part of it. But I have freedom of thought. So I'm thinking about this. Now, to close, at the time I got married, I was unemployed. Okay, I was also declared to be crazy. So no one was hiring me. And I was in a desperate type situation. I was newly married. I had no money. No one would hire me. No one even would rent me a place to live. So, I want to forget what my point is. Oh, yeah. So I'm in that situation, and my wife wants to have children, and I'm telling her, we don't have any money to have children. We don't have any insurance. How are we going to have a baby? So you know what I did? One night I called up a hospital. I said, how much does it cost to have a baby if you don't have insurance? This was in 1995. And I was told over the phone that at that time it cost around $10,000 to have a baby. Well, I told my wife, I said, it costs $10,000 and we don't have it. We don't have $10,000. We gotta put this off. So what I'm saying is that I did think about having a baby at that time the way I'm thinking about it now. It's just that in this case, things are different, right? I'm in a different situation than I was in then. But I'm thinking about it no differently. I'm thinking about it scientifically, you might say, freely, open-mindedly, in terms of the situation I'm in now. That was then, this is now.